Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Ruby, this is Ruby Red, and today we're playing another round of my TBR game, tic-tac-TBR. If you've never seen this game before, it's pretty simple. I put 9 prompts into a 3x3 grid, and then throughout the month, I try and read books that are gonna fulfill those prompts in a way that lets me get 3 in a row. And for every 3 in a row I get, there is a reward. And if I earn more than 3 rewards, I have the option of adding a challenge prompt instead of the rewards, which pulls a book from my 30x30 list and puts it onto the board. And that stays there until I complete that challenge. And if you want to know more about my 30x30 list, I did just make a really long video walking you through all the books on it. And that will be linked below. And so will the playlist for these videos and also the template that I made that you can save to your own Google Drive and play this game with your own prompts, do your own thing. It's pretty easy, so have fun with that. Before we can dive into my August board, we have to talk about July. So this was my board for July. The prompts were GNC author, sci-fi, a book from a YouTube book club, 100 Years of Solitude, that was a challenge prompt, a book from my physical TBR, a booktuber fave, a contemporary book, an ARC, and a book by a Middle Eastern author. And I read a lot of books in July and they actually did not all fit on this board at all. So if you want to know about all of them, you're gonna have to wait for my July reading wrap-up / reading journal update video to come out hopefully soon, but there were a lot of books, so it's going to be a long video. Anyway, okay, the first prompt that I can cross off in July was contemporary. I read Thunderhead. Now, this book is primarily like a mystery, thriller, adventure kind of book, but it also is a contemporary, so I will be counting it, thank you very much. The next prompt that we can cross off is physical TBR, and for this one I read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, translated by Antonia Lloyd-Jones. This is a book that was actually loaned to me by a friend, but I've since read it and returned it, and it was on my shelf, so there you go. The next prompt that I can cross off here is YouTube book club pick, and the spirit of this prompt was probably intending me to read a book with a book club in that month, but I didn't either want to read any of the YouTube book club's July picks or I couldn't get a hold of them. So anyway, I read Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and this was picked by both the Late Night Book Club at one point and also Elizabeth from Plant-Based Brides book club, I think also. Well, at least one of those. So there you go. I love that book. Next, we're gonna cross off 2 prompts with 1 book because I did have a double up reward from June. First of all, a booktuber fave. Now hear me out, but Amy from A Star Reads has a wonderful YouTube channel, and a main feature on that channel is her mom, Sharon, and you know what? Sharon's favorite book of 2021 was Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, and I read that. And I just feel like Sharon's enough of a fixture on the channel and within the community that I'm counting her as a booktuber. This is my booktuber fave, and you may not fight me on this. I'm also going to be able to cross off GNC author with that book because Everina Maxwell's Instagram indicates that she uses she, they pronouns, which is non-conforming enough for me. Okay, now we're finally going to cross off that sci-fi space, even though I've already listed 2 other science fiction books. But for this prompt, I'm going to slot in A Closed and Common Orbit, which is the 2nd book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I love this book, I love this series. Okay, things are looking pretty optimistic at this stage, and we do have a couple more books to go. So next up, we're gonna cross off Middle Eastern author because I read Minor Detail by Adiana Shibli, translated by Elizabeth Jacquet. This is a very upsetting, short little book that definitely affected me, and the author is from Palestine, which is in the Middle East, so that's that. And then finally, I read 100 Years of Solitude. I did it. You're welcome. And also I'm welcome because what a book. Wow. Just wow. yeah, more thoughts to come in my wrap up, and that's it. Except I also completed a bunch of challenges for the Squash That Series weekend edition in July, and the reward for that was a freebie, which I didn't end up using on my Squash That Series board, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it for this. So I'll be freebieing my way through not having read an arc this month, and that means that we completed our board, which honestly, I'm amazed because of the amount of books that I read that did not make it on here. So that I was able to still complete the board when there were so many other books. Feeling really good about it, okay? But it's also gonna prompt me to change a couple of things just for the month of August. So, okay, sorry, it's too hot in here with the AC off and the windows closed to have my hair down, but that's July, and because I fulfilled all the prompts on the board, I'm not gonna take any rewards. I'm just gonna add a challenge prompt to my August board, and I'm gonna put it in the middle on the bottom row because that's the last prompt that I fulfilled, and so we're gonna pick that first and then fill in the rest of the prompts. Before we set up the August board, I want to just say a few words about how I'm going to change things up personally. I read so much during July, and a lot of it felt like hasty binge reading, and part of that is like the nature of doing a readathon, and also that happens to me a lot, I feel like, when I'm traveling. But I just felt like I did a really good job for like 1 week of being very intentional with what I'm reading and how I'm reading it, and I just want to hone in on that feeling and experience a little bit more of that intentional reading space, engaging more with what I'm reading, all that. I feel like I've been saying I want to be doing this for months now, but the way that I'm going to try to make myself do it this month is by doing something so out of character, which is setting myself an actual TBR. So this game usually just gives me prompts and I maybe share some possibilities with you, but you never know what I'm gonna read until the end of the month. So once we generate the prompts, I'm gonna go through and pick 3 in a row that I can complete with 3 books that I will pre-select. And I will tell you right now that those are the books that I'm reading in August. And I think the way that I'm gonna enforce this set TBR that I will be creating is just to say that unless I get that 3 in a row by reading those 3 books, specifically those 3 books, not other books that fit those prompts, then I can't get rewards for any other 3 in a rows that I might get. Because although I am going to say that these 3 books I will definitely read, I will still probably read 2 to 3 other books. That's my average, is like 5 or 6 books a month. So that's what I'm thinking. And we're just gonna see how it goes. So let's do the fun part, the prompt part. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna get my 30 by 30 book. There are 22 books left for me to read. And that's gonna be 13, so I'm so scared. I shuffle these also, so I really don't know. The bell jar. Okay, there's our challenge, the bell jar. All right, there are still 111 prompts in my prompt list. I haven't changed them since last time, so let's just see what we get and what we're gonna do. On my shelf, wow, another on my shelf prompt that's easy and so good because I have a lot of books on my bookshelf that I really want to read, so here's hoping. So that also feels like a strong contender for being part of the set TBR that I'm gonna make because I could pick a lot of different things. 53, climate fiction. Oh, this is kind of a new one. I'm really excited about it. I love this as a genre, and there are so many books on my TBR on Goodreads and then a couple on my shelf that I have really been wanting to read. So hopefully this will push me to read them. Some examples of this are like the Annihilation series by Jeff Vandermeer. It's like kind of a sci-fi climate fiction, but also I think The Seed Keeper will count as climate fiction. The Overstory by Richard Powers is a book that I loved in this genre. It's just books that have to do with climate specific like plot lines and themes. Okay. 54. Is that not what we just had? No, it's not. Oh no, YouTube book club, it's in the same spot. Well, you know what? That's fine. So there are a couple of YouTube book clubs that I like keep my eye on, but there are two that I'm specifically really wanting to participate in August. The first one is the Shelf List Book Club, which is hosted by Bailey, and the co-host in August is going to be my friend Kayla, so yay. And the book that they picked, or that Kayla picked, is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, which is like a horror sci-fi thriller, I think. Kind of nervous about that, but excited. And then also there is a found in translation book club hosted by two YouTubers who I can't remember their names. I only recently discovered this and hopped into the Discord and I'm really excited. And I know that in August they're going to be reading Violets, but I don't remember the author. I'm so sorry, but I will link that announcement video or whatever, all the announcements, all the links are below. Lots of links. Okay, 47. Very historical fiction, pre-1600. Wow. I'm gonna have to take a look around if I do decide to definitely read that prompt. Next we have 41, urban setting. Ooh, okay, that's like a casual, could be easy, could be not easy, I guess. I kind of can't think of the last book that I read that was set in an urban setting. My book club that I have that is not part of YouTube has not picked our August read as of yet, but the poll just went out and I know at least two of them were in an urban setting. I'm just not sure about the third one. So depending on which book my book club reads, that could be fulfilled, but I won't say who. This is the same one, right? Yeah, okay, we're gonna generate again. We don't have doubles here. 35, religious in some way. This is always kind of a goofy one. Oh my gosh. But I want to read Under the Banner of Heaven, which is like a true crime kind of journalistic maybe expose about something about Mormons. That's all I can say, very unspecific, but religious in some way. This prompt is just because I am interested in reading about religion and spirituality in general. So any book that has those themes, whether it's like a nonfiction, for example, Why Buddhism is True, which is a book that Martine read and I think I would really like, or just a book that is fiction but has like a strong religious element, like books. I don't know. Kaikei. Okay. 107. Rated, 4.0 or higher on Goodreads. I love this prompt because it's like, read a good book. Okay, fine, if I have to, you know what I mean? I haven't checked my Goodreads like stats recently. Let me take a look, hold on. Okay, actually I'm overwhelmed. There are so many books in my want to read shelf that are rated super high right now that I could read, and so I'm just gonna let you know what happens if it happens, you know what I mean? Okay, 106 is our last prompt. Disappointing, no. That's a prompt that I can only cross off if I read a book that I'm disappointed by. Which I guess I do have all three of my like book club related reads are gonna be books that I do have pretty high expectations for, that I'm excited about, and some of them I have these expectations but I really don't know that much about the book, so I could easily be disappointed by any of them. So that's definitely a possibility, but I'm not like excited about it, you know? It's like not a nice prompt. Okay, here's the board. She's looking pretty good actually. So let me take a moment and select my for sure TBR and I'll be right back. All right, I have done it. I have selected my TBR for the month. In addition to the 3 book club books, which are not going to make it onto this list, I decided to pick 3 books from my physical shelf to complete this because always trying to prioritize them and always failing to prioritize them. So, okay, this stack of books is going to fulfill the 3 prompts in the left column on my shelf: very historical fiction and 4.0 on Goodreads. So the first book is a book on my shelf, and that's going to be The Nature of Nature: Why We Need the Wild by Enric Sala, introduction by Edward O. Wilson, and foreword by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, which is hysterical. But okay, like, can you see the cover of this? It's amazing. My mom let me borrow this book because I think right after I read Silent Spring, I was like, I wish there was something like this, but for the now. And she was like, oh, I just read this amazing book. I'll send it to you. So that's The Nature of Nature, and this is a nonfiction book written by a marine biologist about how important the natural world is, how it is a perfectly circular economy that has been hopelessly, or not hopelessly disrupted, has been severely disrupted, but not in a hopeless way. And I think this book is going to outline not only how to fix what has been wronged, but also about why that matters in a bunch of different ways, other than what is to me the obvious, which is like, because this is the world we live in. But anyway, it's not very long, and I have been wanting to pick it up, so now I'm going to. Thank you. So beautiful. Okay, the next book is very historical fiction, pre-1600, and this book I found takes place in the 1520s. A reimagining of life under Henry VIII, and that is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This is the first book in the Thomas Cromwell trilogy, and it did win the Booker Prize. I don't know very much about it at all, except that it was highly recommended by a YouTuber who I highly respect her opinions on books. I believe that is Sunbeams Jess. I'm gonna link her channel down below too if you're interested. She talks about books that I don't hear other people talk about, which I love, and she has such an intelligent way of speaking about books. Anyway, that's why I got this book. I found it at a used bookstore, and I will be reading it, apparently. And then finally, a book rated 4.0 or higher on Goodreads. I have decided to read The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson. This has like a 4.36. Very high. I've talked about this book so many times. I bought it when I was in Portland at Powell's, and I'm really excited to read it, and I'm not going to say anything else about what it's about because frankly I just don't know, and so I've said something vague a few times. I'm not going to say anything vague again. I'm going to say nothing, and I'm going to read it, and then I'll tell you about it in my August wrap up. So here are the books. They look very pretty together, in my opinion, that I'm going to be reading for August. And yeah, none of my book club reads have made this list, so they're all just going to be extras. And if I don't finish these, nothing matters. That's how we're going to run things. Just for August, I'm just going to slow down and enjoy myself. You know what I mean? So with that, I thank you for watching, for being here. Please, if you have any recommendations for some of these prompts, other than the 3 that I've already decided on, please let me know in the comments. I always love to collect recommendations from you guys, and I really appreciate everyone who has left them in past videos. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. It means a lot to me. And I will see you back here next month to tell you how I did, and next week for something else. I don't know yet. Okay, goodbye.